We're live.
How you gonna go live after I take a bite?
Honestly, at this point, they should just accept us for who we are.
This is just gonna be a chill wrap-up video.
Wait, they should just accept. Agreed.
Oh, that's probably me too.
I forgot to turn my sound off.
Oh, me too. Hold on.
Wrap-up video. Wait, they should just accept. Agreed.
Oh, that's probably me too.
I forgot to turn my sound off.
Oh. Okay, there we go.
Turn that down.
But I am so hungry, and I have been reading literally. Brittany, I stopped reading at 4 o'clock because I realized that it was 4 o'clock, and jumped up and started getting ready for this live because I was determined to read all of the books in my TBR this year, like determined.
Are you saying you read all of your TBR for Nekkid this year?
I missed it by one book, and I'm so upset.
Man.
Missed it by one book. Like, it was, but technically the book that I missed it by is not technically a Black romance. The author corrected me and said it was actually like a paranormal thriller type thing. So that was the book about the zombies.
Oh, the She-Rock one?
Yes, by Jade Jones.
Okay.
So that made me feel a little bit better because I was like, okay, well, technically, it wasn't technically a Black romance. It was like a Black paranormal, but I'm still definitely going to read it. I'm probably going to read it this week because I'm excited to get to it. But I read every other book on my TBR, despite the fact that I was rereading My Baby is a West Coast King last week.
Listen, I forgot all about that mess from last week.
Look, that series was calling to me, and I had to give in to the call. But you know what? I reread it, all 4 books, and then I dived straight into my TBR, completed it for the most part. I'm very proud of myself.
I only had 3 books on my TBR, and I read all 3. So
which one was your favorite?
Ooh, I'm still gonna go with the whole Roses and Thorns series thing. It's still my favorite because I literally have created a whole world in my head of like what went down before. So I'm like, oh, this is the aftermath. Yeah, I read 3 for the readathon, but I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books this month, which
that's
everybody
good.
who's been paying attention knows that this is my highest reading month. That's awesome. Also, Abominable, if you just want to listen to us, that's fine. But I would very much prefer to you to go ahead and go take some medicine and go to sleep.
Yes, please.
But I also almost laughed at the Copacabana virus because for some reason we've gotten to a point where we don't want to call it a pandemic we don't want to refer to it as COVID. We've come up with so many names that,
I think it's also because if you're on a public platform, there's so many restrictions.
Oh, that's right. I probably restricted it. I mean, we're not monetized. They don't really care.
They're like, oh, yeah, they don't care about us. But it's like, oh, they don't want people spreading misinformation and this, that, and the fifth. Okay, so I want to do a quick roundup of all of the books that I read for Nekkid or during Nekkid, so I read My Baby is a West Coast King, books 1 through 4 by Siobhan Latrice, and that was a reread. So that was a reread. And then these are the other books I read. I read this other 2-book series by Nicole Jackson. And I talked about Nicole Jackson on our premiere video when I was recommending authors.
Yep.
She has a new series out. It's not completed. It's 2 books so far, and it's Borrowed Love. So I read books 1 and 2.
Okay.
I also read Humbled by a Real Nigga, books 1 and 2. That was not on my TBR, by Lisa Austin.
Okay.
I also read Stiff by Stephanie Nicole Norris, which was the group pick.
Okay. Shout out to us for reading the group pick.
Right.
Some book
And
clubs.
then for like a new to me author, Ray
Mm-hmm.
Ray Lease. It's called Saving Sunflower, which is the book 1 in the Sun series. Y'all, I think I found my new fave. This book was so good. Then for the prompt of sports, like your favorite trope, I read.
Yours is sport.
Well, yeah, but I read 2 sports romances.
So
So
that
I
was a total of
read.
how many books?
I'm not done.
Oh my God.
I read Implied Consent by Casey Mills, which was so good, y'all. Highly recommend. And I also read Christina C. Jones's latest in the Connecticut King series, which is Offensive Formations. And when I tell you, I have been saving this book for this. And I was so sad when it was over because I enjoyed it so much. It was giving me everything I never knew that I needed, but I do need, because the female protagonist was like this tennis legend, kind of like Serena. It was giving me Serena Williams and Venus Williams vibes. And then the guy was like trying to come back from this injury on the NFL team, and like their vibe was just so smooth. Like I don't know how else to describe it. Like it was so beautifully black and just like smooth and real. And they were like these athletes, these pro athletes dominating. I don't know. It was amazing. It was amazing. So I read that one, and I think that's it.
So how many books?
I read. Yep. Oh no. I read Blood Bully, which was the vampire one by Natavia. That was really interesting. That was everything.
Okay, well, my little 3 that I read was obviously Stiff. Not gonna lie, I finished that about 30 minutes ago. Not even gonna front. The Unbroken Rose by Christina C. Jones and Awaken the Dragon by A.C. Arthur. What's funny is I think a lot of us read Awaken the Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if other people picked it because of the name. I picked it because of the name. Because if I was gonna go with the cover, I was gonna do the wolf one. But like, I think this is the most books you've ever read in any of our readathons.
It is. No, I was determined. I was like, I'm gonna redeem myself this year.
Normally, you'll be like, "Here's my TBR. I read none of them."
I was like, you know what? I'm not going out sad this time. I'm gonna redeem myself. And I'm going to make sure that I like read stuff that I can talk about and I can recommend. Okay, so my second question is, oh my goodness, somebody read 12 books.
Yeah. Who picked this book? Who picked this book? Amazing. It had like 3 TBRs.
That's amazing.
Like, it was like, oh, I read this one. So I read the whole series after it. And I was like, here I am, still reading my one book.
But honestly, Brittany, for someone who's not a romance reader, like I'm very proud of you that you even read 1 book. So the fact that you read 3 is actually quite impressive.
I read 3. I feel like anybody who's been with the Black Pros Club since we were a seat at the table, y'all know 3 in 1 month is progress for me. Huge.
And that brings me to my second question, but you can go ahead and then I'll ask my question.
Oh, I was going to say, like, I was laughing because I have a couple friends that are just fantasy readers like me. But one of my friends, she likes like that romance fantasy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I told her about this readathon, obviously she jumped in head first.
That's amazing.
And like she was like, I just don't why you don't like romance. And I think I finally figured out why I prefer not to read romance. And I'm not opposed to reading more romance as long as y'all gave me, like, this year we did something we didn't do last year. We actually discussed like all different types of.
We did.
So I was intrigued to read it based off of the excitement of other people, and I was experiencing extreme FOMO. So I was like, I'm not going to do that this year. I'm going to read because I want to be able to talk about it without being like, what? Because I already had the shock already when I read the book. So I was like, do I prefer to read romance? No, still not a romance reader yet, y'all, but I will participate.
Okay, that brings me to my second question. And I want you to definitely like elaborate a little bit more on why you figuring out why you don't like romance. But first, I want you and everyone else who's here to answer, what was your favorite book that you read during the readathon?
Okay, so hear me out when I say this. I'm sure other people are going to agree with me. So, the entire idea of having a place called the Den in real life would be wonderful. So, on one hand, I have to say stiff, but I again love the creators that, or love the characters that Christina C. Jones creates because of the worlds that she creates. So I'm also still torn on that. But like I said, if there was a den in Houston, I would have already gone to explore it. So like that's why I'm torn between those two right now.
Okay. Hey, Read, Love, Listen, welcome. Okay, so for me, it's a 3-way tie. Don't be mad.
I'm not mad.
And it's a tie between Saving Sunflower, which I just finished today, and it was so beautiful, y'all. And I'm so glad that there's another book that follows a different character, but I just don't want to let these characters go. It was so good, and it's by Ray Lease. Ray, R-A-E, Lease, L-Y-S-E. Highly recommend. It was beautiful. And then I also really loved Offensive Formations by my fave, CCJ, of course, Christina C. Jones. She reigns supreme. Like, honestly, y'all, I highly recommend you read it. If you haven't read any books in the Connecticut King series, you won't really be that confused, because this book is not like contingent upon having read the other books. It's just better if you've read the series, because then you understand the world, and you, when the other characters pop up in the other books, you kind of, it makes for a richer reading experience. But you can totally pick up Offensive Formations if you haven't read any of the other books and still get a complete romance and be fine. But I think I didn't realize how much I wanted to read about like a Serena Williams type heroine, like a Black woman dominating in tennis who gets a love story. I just didn't realize that I needed that until I read this book. And I was like, I've needed this. And then the third book is Implied Consent by Casey Mills, which is kind of like a story about redemption and second chances. And it was very good. It was very well written, and it was a very beautiful story. So those were my top three. I really liked the group pick, but I don't know, like I read it and I really enjoyed it while I was reading it, but then I felt no need to like continue, because there are other books in the series and I really felt no need to pick up the other books. I don't know if that makes sense. I was just kind of like, I'm good. Like, I'm happy where this ended, and I'm good.
That's how I felt about Awaken the Dragon. Love the concept. If that's where Monster Smut is, I would stay in that area, because I got vampires, I got dragons. Like, also, so to anybody else who read Awaken the Dragon, did anybody else get a gargoyle based on the way that the dragons operated? I just want to know, because when I tell you, it was very hard for me to not think of Glyph. When I was thinking about the main character of that book, I was like, it's kind of giving me the same kind of vibe. Like, they've been here a minute, they know things, they mind their business, but they help people. And like, we all know the gargoyles were Black. So like, that's where my brain went. And I was like, and then I didn't even realize that it was a series. And I think it was Miss W.O.C. Reader who was like, it was either her or Nicole who said that it was a series. And I was like, do I need to read the series? I don't necessarily need to read the series. I might continue the series. Maybe what I'll just keep doing every Nekkid, I'll just continue reading series and see where we get to. But okay. Yeah, no, we know monsters can get really crazy. Like, that's one of our favorite topics in this book club is Monster Smut. We actually haven't talked about Monster Smut in a really long time, which cracks me up really, because who are we?
In a minute.
We've been taking a break, but ooh, I have a question. Hold on.
Okay.
Also, isn't she cute?
She's adorable.
Okay, so here's my question to everyone who read this year. When you read your least favorite trope, did you have a appreciation for your least favorite trope? Or do you still feel the same way? Like, did the book that you picked for that prompt change your mind about your least favorite trope? Or were you just like, nope, still hate it?
Okay, so my least favorite trope is tied for secret baby and teacher student. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't
that's
want to read. I couldn't swallow. Pun intended. Teacher student. I was like, I can't do this. I can't. So I kind of cheated a little bit with the secret baby one because the guy knew she was pregnant. He just was like, that's not my baby. But it was his baby. But then he didn't find out until like 2 years later for sure that it was his baby. So it was kind of like cheating a little bit because usually secret baby is like, they don't know at all that you were pregnant. You like sneak away and then they find out years later and there's all this hoopla. So the Borrowed Love series by Nicole Jackson is the series that kind of had this trope. And it was interesting because it was like these two young people fall in love kind of fast. Everything happens very quickly. And then things also unravel very quickly because of assumptions and people not trusting each other enough, XYZ. So the girl gets pregnant and she tells the guy that she's pregnant. And he's like, that's not my baby. You're a hoe anyway. Da, 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 da.
oh.
Yeah, it was bad. So then she starts dating this other guy who, out of spite, she lets the other guy sign the birth certificate. She lets the other guy be the father to the baby.
What?
Out of spite because she's mad. And then it
And
wasn't until he signed the birth certificate, he was acting as the father. And it wasn't until he went to prison or jail, he went to jail, that everyone in her family was like, girl, this ain't right. Like, you need to go tell the other guy. Like, you need to tell the father, the real father, that he's a father. Like, this is messed up. Then she started dating the brother unwittingly. She didn't know she was dating the brother. And then the brother brought her home to like a family picnic. And then that's how they found out, like, yo, you had a baby with my brother, but you're dating my other brother. Like, what's going on? And then that's when it all came out.
Everything just fell off at the same point. So
it was like secret baby, but not secret baby.
Baby, but not secret baby. And it was also the whole dating the sibling thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I also don't like. I don't like, you know how they always have those romances. I know, Brittany, you may not have read them, probably haven't, but you've seen them, like dating my stepbrother, in love with my I hate those. That is so gross to me. Like, I'll read them only if they're written by Tijan. Tijan is the only author that I can read. And that's not like, doesn't happen in black romance.
Okay, I was about to say, is this something that's prevalent in Black romance?
We don't do that.
I'm not trying to be funny. I'm really not, but like,
we don't. I mean, we also don't really do black romance authors also don't really do like student teacher, really. So it would have been really hard for me to find one.
Because I just can't. It's hard for me to romance and not rape. That's just what it is. We're not monetized, so I can say it. It's just like there's power make, and it's just so many different things where I'm like, that's not romance. That's something entirely different. And the person in the power control spot needs to be arrested and treated accordingly, or at least lose his job, because minding my business.
Who picked this book says, I did have an appreciation. Certain authors can do my least favorite really well. My least favorite is Friends to Lovers. Oh my gosh, that's one of my faves.
I know. I asked why she didn't like Friends to Lovers. The answer was, I just prefer the tension that comes with hate to love or enemies to lovers. So this is another thing. Does anybody know of anybody who was actually enemies and then they became like, the love of their life? Like, has that trope ever happened in real life?
That is an amazing question. And I think, like, as much as I love a good enemies to lovers um romance. I prefer like bully romances, which is like enemies to lovers on crack.
Yeah, see, that's
Because
detrimental as
it's
well.
not just like we're enemies, it's like I'm trying to harm you and you're trying to harm me, but somehow we fall in love. Because it's more of like a psychological thriller and it's so unrealistic that
Yeah,
it's fun to read for me because it's just so out of the box and it's very much like a psychological thriller and that's why I love it. But I think the reason why I really, really love Friends to Lovers is because it's more realistic and it's
yeah,
like something you can see happening in everyday life.
yeah. Or or in our books pick, maybe you were just really nice to the nerdy guy in school, and he somehow turned out to be an Adonis.
Stiff. That was really sweet. I was like, this is so
I
sweet.
was just like, like we make a lot of jokes and like, we make that Urkel to Stefan thing. And then like, as we got older, we realized Stefan wasn't really what we wanted in the first place. And then I'm like, then I'm reading this book and I'm like, oh, we're doing this again. Okay.
You know what though? I kind of liked that his glow up was more than just like, oh, I'm fine now. It was like, I'm a successful businessman who is like emotionally stable and has a great group of friends. And I know how to treat women. Like, he was a lover. Like, nothing about him was toxic or like toxic masculinity. Like, he was so soft in the best ways. And he just like so tender with her and like I don't know, I really liked it because it wasn't just a glow up like, oh, he's fine now. It was literally like, wow, he's out here helping the community. He's like has his own, she has his shit together, he has a great group of friends, like he's chilling. I was like, this is the type of glow up we need to talk more about, not just like the physical appearance.
Oh, that brings me to another thing. Can I just give a shout out to romance books because like we're focusing on Black romance books. So I would like to give a shout out to Black romance books because the one thing Black romance books always seem to make sure that the characters have is good solid friendships.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
every one of them has at least one homeboy or one homegirl that's there and they're normal. Like the way that the main characters in Stiff had like homeboys and mandatory bi-weekly lunch dates. This is
Yes.
real. This is exactly how real adult working people have to schedule their time to keep their friendships going. That is a real deal thing. And I was just like, I love everything about these interactions because these are real interactions. And I really felt like I felt like they were very Black and without mentioning, all this different stereotypes they could possibly think of to prove that they're Black or describing them as some form of edible candy. It was like they're actually Black and the way that they're talking is legit because this is the way that I talk to my girls. And oh yes, and then this one. I love when they randomly throw in family.
Yes.
Like because it's just very common, especially if you like live in the same city as your parents. Your parents gonna come up regularly. It's just what happens. So again, in Stiff, the way they just randomly popped in with Dad, Uncle Jerome, Mom and Dad, I was like, this is so.
The uncle was hilarious.
I have an uncle like him.
The uncle was like, don't play with my niece. I will come for you.
I have an uncle just like him. His name is not Jerome. His name is Mike, but he's just as wild and inappropriate and actually borderline sexist. But like we all put up with it because that's just how he is. That's literally how I read Jerome. Just like,
Jerome is literally like that street dude that like grew up and like got a little bit more responsible, but you still don't want to fuck with him because when it comes to his family members, he will fuck you up. That's how I read him.
It's like, don't get me wrong now, he's retired, but he'll come quickly about that retirement to handle your behind.
That's literally, I was like, oh shit. Because everyone has like that family member that can go from 0 to 60 in the blink of an eye behind another family member. Like they could be chilling, everything could be great. The second that they hear that your niece got pushed in the playground by another little girl, they're ready to pull up on that little girl, her mama, her whole family.
I'm that person in my. I'll be like, I'm sorry, what? I'll be there. Hold on. It's like I've ended conversation. This is aid. Ooh, yes, stuff like this. Also, little things like eating soul food dishes versus just pizza and sushi. Love me some sushi and pizza, but I also like to read characters enjoying jerk chicken. Ooh, baked mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's so they always have like a scene where food is like heavily represented, which I appreciate.
In every book, somebody was eating and they were eating good, and it was just like, yep.
Somebody's mama or grandma was throwing down in the kitchen, or auntie, or something.
Or they found they know a mom and pop shop that they always support because the food be bomb. I'm like, this, as I also know a couple places in Houston that I will literally drive on the other side of Houston just to eat their food. So again, I felt like extremely relatable. But like I told you on chat, and I'm gonna say this here, reading romance books creates an unrealistic expectation of the men in this world. The way that porn gives an unrealistic representation of sex. Romance novels do that in terms of these men. Because where are they?
What was that tweet that you read that was so spot on about the men in romance books? And I can't remember it now, and it's gonna bother me.
I'm gonna try to find it. That's had me dying. I was like, that's how I feel when I see these men in these books, like being all that you can be with body, mind, and soul. I'm like, where do these men hang out at? And they're single still? Yeah. I'm going to scroll until I find it because obviously.
While you look, I was going to say another thing I really loved about Stiff was that the characters were older and established in their careers. And they weren't like, quote unquote, looking for love. You know, there's this stereotype that if you're over 30, you're desperate and you're looking for love and you're unhappy. Yep. But it was like,
something wrong.
She was running her nail salon, like having fun with her friends, chilling, living her life. He was like, what was he? Wasn't he a lawyer?
He wasn't just a lawyer. He was like one of the top lawyers in the city. Like, ready, everything.
So he was like busy being a lawyer, like very involved with his community and his friend group. And I believe, wasn't he in his 40s?
I don't know if he was. I think that they were all in their 30s getting ready to turn 40. Like they were upper 30s.
Yeah. So I like that they were older. I like that they were established in their careers. I like that they had very full lives. And then it was like they met, you know, and that was beautiful to me. I did find it to be a little bit unrealistic that she did not recognize him. That I found to be
I'm so glad we hear
completely unrealistic, because I was like, girl, you would have known. The only thing he was wearing was a mask. You would have known it was him. I'm sorry. The height, the smell, the breadth of his shoulders, the vibe, the touch, the everything, you would have known.
I was like, this man been blowing your back out, sending you into high heaven and ecstasy, and you don't recognize the way that this man is talking to you, looking at you. You can't, like, you don't see, like, it's like your brain is telling you that they could be like, his name is Eric, and you didn't even ask. I mean, granted, I understand why she didn't ask, though, because she was trying to keep that thing that she was doing secret. So, like, I guess there really isn't a way for her to be like, did you used to be without exposing herself? Because, you know,
right,
it was like living her life, but she didn't want everybody to know that she was out here living her life. So, in a way, I do respect that part.
Even with little things, because I was like,
this comment,
that is sad.
He was basically Clark Kenting her. And then she even kept calling him her superhero. And I was like,
yes,
she legit is like, this is literally Clark Kenting. Granted.
Do you know the kind of stuff I was thinking about?
Which part?
Like, okay, yeah. I was like, okay, his face was, you know, masked from you. But girl, hands are so distinct. Like someone's hands and like the way that they look, the way that they're shaped, the nail beds, like everything about someone's hands. I would recognize someone based off of their hands, their forearms, their arms. Like there's just certain things that I would recognize someone based off of, and I'm just like, girl, who are you fooling right now?
Yeah, because I was like, he's spoken to you.
Yes. The voice.
So like, his name is Eric. He's spoken to you. He has this. You already cleared it that he's the same height, same kind of physique. You've literally cleared all that, like, and nothing is giving you hints.
Nothing's clicking.
But like, here's my question. Okay, so we're gonna pretend for a second that this is your situation. And old dude rolled up and he looked and sounded like dude you was with at the den. Would you ask him who he was, honestly, or would you just do like we're doing and consulting later? Because personally, I don't think I would have asked to verify either, because again, the den would have been my secret.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't have asked right away, but if I'm gonna keep going back to the den and having sex with, I can't remember what the other guy's name was, the fake name. Who?
Kane.
Oh, Kane. Then I would have said something probably like the second or third time. I would have been like, okay, am I tripping? Or is your name Eric as well? Like, I would have been like,
because remember when she first got there, I was like, Eric will be up there to be your personal guard. And then she was like, can I call you Kane?
So she even knew his name. She just didn't.
That's what I'm saying. It's a couple moments where I was like, but like in comments, everybody is saying I would have waited until the other person bought it up. But like, see, he was even struggling with figuring out when was the best time to bring it up. Because in 2021, if that was happening to me and then the guy revealed to me that he was the same guy, I would have been taking it as him being a super crazy stalker. And it would have been a totally different situation for me. When at the end of the book, I was reading it and I was like, oh, she's done with him. Nope, she's not. She's totally not. I was like, would I find that romantic? Would I find that excellent? Granted, that means I found a guy who is not only fine, successful, and great in other things. But it also means it's like you found my place of business after you had already done this twice. And then kind of pretending like it was like a happenstance when really like it wasn't. Like, you know, it wasn't as much of a coincidence as we were trying to pretend that it was. So it's like, in one way, it's like, dang, he is the perfect package. Would I just ignore the stalker vibes that he gives off or what?
Well, here's the thing though. I think just being completely honest, I think the whole stalker thing is very real, but I think it comes down to if you like the person or not. Everything always comes down to if you like the person or not. And a good friend of mine reminded me of this.
Romantic.
A good friend of mine reminded me of this because I was recently having a situation with somebody where I felt like they were moving like super fast and like all this stuff was crazy. And then my friend was like, okay, but if you liked him, you would be loving this right now. You would be like, yes, this is amazing. That's so true, though. And I was like, that's the deciding factor is how much you like them, because if you really like them, then you're not going to think they're stalking me, they're creepy. You're going to be like, oh, he went to so much trouble to track me down.
There's a fine line, romantic and crazy.
Isn't that interesting how we work? Like, if you really like somebody, a lot of creepy shit is all of a sudden like romantic.
I mean, we ignore flags like nobody's business because we like somebody. So yeah, I mean, that's right. My dad says it all the time. There's a fine line between romantic and crazy. And it all depends on how the other person views you. If they're not feeling you and you go do something outlandish like that, you will be immediately labeled as crazy. But if you are into that person and he go and do that romantic gesture, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, he's so into me. I can't believe he did all of this for me. So I was like, got to remember that. That is just.
Isn't that interesting how we work as humans?
Yeah, just like, dang. And it's not even like being desperate or anything like that. Like, that's literally based on how much we like the person.
100%. And also, I think that if you if you haven't gotten to a point yet where you can actually like someone, right? Like if you don't really know them that well, I also think that that's where like pretty privilege comes in, or like handsome privilege, because if the guy is like really good looking and has a great job and looks great on paper, then in that first initial instance of like not knowing them, you're also not going to think it's creepy, right? Until maybe you get to know them and they do turn out to be a creep, or you get to know them and they turn out to be a good person and you start liking them. But I think that the way that someone looks and the way they present themselves also has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, because even Eric came into my vicinity, I too would be very happy.
I mean, there's a reason why the really good serial killers were able to lure women.
For the record,
it didn't click in their minds like, this is creepy.
Still can't get over how attractive people thought Ted Bundy was. But anyways, what was I about to say?
Ted says,
I got a list of all your favorite films. We got all your favorite snacks. And what is your favorite coffee? This is our... Listen, okay, so the way in the book, because they had known each other since grade school, and obviously he's had this huge crush on her since grade school. And I appreciate the fact that he didn't try to be like, well, you wasn't really checking for me because I was a nerd. Like, he literally just knew his place and was like, you know, came into his own person. But like, how he kept bringing up all these different stuff that she remembered, like the first date to Hamilton and then to dinner food. I was like, first of all,
I mean, to me, I was like, he's been in love with you, girl.
Okay, so I was like, imagine if you had not seen a dude since like middle school. So for those who aren't in the States, that's like 7th, 8th, 9th grade.
6th, 7th, 8th.
6th, 7th, 8th. Imagine not seeing a person since you were like 12. Seeing them again when you're like 38, 39 years old. And he's remembering stuff about you. And then on the first date, basically let you know, like, I have always known these things about you. Always have paid attention to what you said. And I have always been waiting. Like, basically, he was like, I've been waiting for my chance to do this our whole lives.
I was shocked that she wasn't more like overwhelmed by that, because if it was me, I would be like that meme of SpongeBob on the ground where everything's spinning. Is that SpongeBob? You know what I mean? Like that meme of like the spinning, like, whoa, like I need a moment to process this. The fact that you still remember every conversation we ever had, like all the things I shared with you, and that was a lifetime ago. And it's not like we've spoken since then. Like, we have not been in communication since then.
Like, but somehow you planned our first date because you knew that I loved Broadway shows.
I would have needed a moment. I would have been like,
and yeah, because he kept saying it very nonchalantly too. It was like, well, you know, you did tell me that you like, dude, I told you that like 25 years ago. Like, wait a minute, like
to the point where we didn't even recognize him when she saw him again. So that just shows you how drastic.
I mean, they were literally two completely different people at this point. Like, that was like 12 years old. 12. They're in their upper 30s, 38, 39 years old. Like, there's to remember that kind of stuff about a person that like, wasn't your friend.
I'm dead at this comment.
Yes, it could have, like, legit, it would have been a thriller if he was crazy. It would have been a thriller, because I'm just like, what? I was overwhelmed reading it. Like, I was like, that is so thoughtful.
I was shook.
Just
because, like, even guys that I had intense crushes on when I was in middle school, I don't remember things about them. Like, even all the stuff that I would, because you know, when you're that age, you memorize everything about your crush. You're like, oh, he always wears
because he needed them from that. We, like, I don't know. I just thought that part was so sweet. It's like, I don't even know if that's the way it was supposed to be. I was like, oh my gosh. And then it's like,
she was just kind of like, oh, thank you. I would have been like,
I'd have been like, I need to go to the bathroom real quick. And I would have been on the phone like, girl, you will not believe this. You can take it out. Kind of like wipe my mascara up because I'd be so overwhelmed at like the sweetness. Oh, also, Eric embodies a type of man that I love, and I love the straightforward men because I am also very straightforward. So it's just like, oh, I want to introduce you to my soon-to-be girlfriend. I was like, yeah,
that was hilarious. That was hilarious. Can we also talk about his parents? And that scene took me out. Like when they went to volunteer at this, I think it was the soup kitchen, and
yes.
It was explained that his parents are no longer together. But it sounds like his dad did some fuck shit and is trying to get his mom back, and she's not having it. That whole scene had me rolling on the floor. The way that his daddy was chasing after his mama, and she was not having it whatsoever.
She was like, stop following me. She's like, it's great that she made up with our son, but like, I want nothing to do with you.
I was like, oh my goodness, that is a whole nother like side book that we might need to get, because
you know, I'm okay with that. I would totally read that to see if he could ever get his ex-wife back. I would love to read that because I'm like, well, I mean, I'm kind of invested. Like, you did such a good job reconnecting with your son to the point where he wanted to take your last name in his adulthood. So, like, you've done some changes, but like, she is not interested.
That was hilarious. And then, yeah, that scene was great when he was like, my soon-to-be ex-girlfriend. And you know what's interesting? He was so clear about his intentions. He laid everything out from the moment that he reconnected with her in that nail salon. He was so clear and so honest and so forthright about his intentions. And she was still confused. She was still like, oh.
Well, because she wanted she was mad because he wasn't touching her.
Yeah, that's true. She was like
he was giving, she was trying to, like, from the thing, it was like she felt like the body language off, but the only time that she claimed that it was off when it was their goodbyes. Yes. Because she was expecting like a kiss. Any other time,
would step back.
She was for that man and just like reveling in all of his presence.
This is another thing about us as humans that I think is interesting, is that we go on dates all the time, right? With people that we think have potential, right? And then we kind of see how things go. But it's very interesting because when you have instant chemistry with somebody and you're instantly just like attracted to them, you like want things to move fast physically. Like you just naturally just want to be with them. You want them to touch you. But if it's somebody that you're either on the fence about, or you don't like, or you're kind of like, oh, I'm not sure yet, you'll be completely fine with them like not really touching you, or like not really kissing you on the first date. You'll be like, that's fine. That's okay. He's a gentleman. It's okay. Like, we're so weird. Why are we weird like this?
Like at the beauty salon or the nail salon, he was like, go out to dinner with me. If you enjoy it, go out to breakfast with me, and then go to lunch with me. And if you're not in love with me by then I'll just leave. And I was like, listen, let a guy come into my place talking this game. One, I would have to go shopping immediately.
Oh, immediately.
I have to go shopping because I'm about to do this. I'm about to have the time of my life, because I feel like if you come in with that level of confidence and you have not disrespected me, you have not done anything to make me feel like you're creepy, let's go. What's the worst that could happen? I not enjoy myself and we go on our own ways, but I already know I'm going to enjoy myself because you already came at me very correct. Also, and I've never heard somebody call somebody goddess. And I wonder what that feeling would be like the first time I heard a guy call me goddess.
I think it would be
Queen is so normal. Queen is so normal. It's like everybody calls each other queen. We call each other queen. But I feel like he like purposely was like, I'm going to let you know that like I think of you far higher than what you realize.
Yes.
Goddess.
I think that would be overwhelming as well, just to know that somebody thinks that highly of you. But I kind of want to back you up when you said, because I thought about that too, like his approach with her, it wasn't overly confident. It wasn't like cocky or like, just like over, those guys are like machismo and like, yeah, she's going to want me. No, it was very just like, he knew who he was. He knew what he wanted. he was confident, he was straightforward, and he still was like respectful and kind. And I was just like, yes.
I was like, I will take, it's like going to a menu and I was like, I'll have what she's having, thanks. It was just like, this is what we mean when we talk about we like our men to be assertive. We like our men to be, just very upfront and honest. He wasn't afraid of admitting his feelings. Had no problem telling her that he missed her throughout the day. And it's just like, girl, I understand why you're a little confused and overwhelmed, because he really does read like he's too good to be true. Like,
1000%. But I think that there's something to be said for somebody who, and that's why I loved that they were older, right? I love that they were older and like settled into their careers and stuff, because it was more believable that he was so confident. Like sometimes when I read these new adult books about like guys in high school that are just so confident, it's a little hard to pull off in some instances, because I'm like, you're 17 years old. Like, what do you know about anything at this point?
You might just be too old to be reading these romance books. If you're reading that little boy, what do you know, little boy? What life have you lived? You are too old to be reading those books.
Like, calm down. But that's what I loved about them being older, because it was believable that he was so confident, so sure of himself. He knew who he was. He obviously, was confident in himself, and he had come into his own and grown into himself. It just all was very natural. It read very natural and believable, which I appreciated.
Oh, this is a good point. Here's the thing. You would have to be open to receive that type of praise. If you are so close to it based on prior relationships, then you wouldn't really be ready for a man like him. Also facts. I mean, I haven't been on a date in a very long time, so I feel like even taking like the milder version of Eric would be one of those things where I'll be telling myself like, calm down. It's cool. Because it would be such a refreshing shock that it would just be like, wow, like this is amazing. And then you have, like, in true blue form, I have to be like, all right, sis, calm down. You're doing the most. Bring that back.
Right.
Like, don't get too excited. Calm down. He's calm. You be calm. Be calm. I was giving myself like whole pep talks in my brain.
Right.
Close to that beautiful encounter, because it was just like, wow. And then also, because I have a couple friends that when I wrote the book, I describe the book. They're not big readers, but they love hearing like my synopsis of the book. So I'm describing Stiff to them. And one of my friends was like, wow, so like the book technically had a sex den, but like wasn't really about the sex den. I was like, it wasn't really about the sex den. It was more about her being comfortable in her sexuality. Yeah. Like I know normally I hate the whole give your sexuality like a nickname thing, but like I loved give your sexuality like a nickname thing. Like it was like a moment for her to just kind of like let go of everything and just kind of go for exactly what she wanted in a sense. I was like, I dig Carmen. Carmen and I would have a lot of fun if we went out.
Yeah, it was beautiful because she was reclaiming that part of herself and owning it and being unashamed and just letting go of her inhibitions, which I think is important. But she was doing it in a safe environment where it was consensual and NDAs had been signed. I mean, come on. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, it was like, that sounds like a wonderful experience for multiple reasons. But the safety around it really must have been like a freedom experience. It was like, you don't have to worry about it. And like, if you tell your friends, you tell your friends. If you don't, you don't. Like, nobody else is going to know.
Also, can we talk about her besties? I can't remember their names right now.
Oh, yes. Patience and Brandy. Because it was... Who was that? I forgot his homeboy's names. Lawrence. I think Mark.
It was like a week ago when I read this book, so I'm drawing a blank.
I can't remember the real estate agent's name. But again, I love older, well-established Black people who connect with each other on a personal level. That lunch scene where Brandy revealed what was happening.
That was heartbreaking. My heart broke for her because I cannot imagine going through that. Can you imagine going through that?
And then going through it alone.
And then going through it alone.
Just
That was
like,
really sad.
like I have a friend who's miscarried, and all I could do was listen to her. So I can't imagine going through all of that, and then your husband just
wasn't that the situation where they had a threesome, right, with somebody,
yes,
and then he continued that relationship with that woman outside of the boundaries that they had set up, and
she
then
got
he
pregnant.
knocked her up, and now
Yes,
look,
that's exactly
I would be
what
on
happens.
first 48. I'm sorry, I would be on first 48. Somebody would be
Well,
dead.
remember, Asia and Patient's responses were, "Oh, let's go handle him now." Like Asia was like, "I'm calling my Uncle Jerome. I'm just gonna give him his name," and like because that's how I don't know. I was just like, so.
Can you imagine the trauma that would cause you?
I mean, she had just miscarried and felt like her husband was blaming her for the miscarriage. So, in an effort to make her husband happy because he had basically disconnected from her, she bought another woman into their bedroom, and she obviously did not enjoy it at all. And then it turns around that her husband not only enjoyed it, but decided he wanted to cheat on his wife. Because once you go outside the parameters of your agreement, it's cheating. Like that's what it is. And he cheated and got her pregnant. This woman just miscarried. And you're telling, I was like,
it was the disrespect for me. Like, how dare you? It's one thing to like go outside of the boundaries that they had set, and like it's worse enough that it's a woman that your wife knows that you guys have been in this intimate situation with. It's bad enough that you're going behind her back now outside of the boundaries of the parameters that you set up for this event. All of that is bad enough, but to be also continuing your affair with that third party unprotected, this is the thing that men don't understand. Like, and I've talked to a few women about this who've been through situations where they've been cheated on by their husbands and stuff. Okay, yes, the cheating is bad, right? The betrayal, da 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 da. But it's also like the disrespect that you would cheat on your partner and put their safety at risk because you're not protecting yourself, right? And you're just doing it raw with this person and then coming home to your partner. That to me is like the ultimate level of just like, so you don't give a fuck about me at all. You put my life at risk, my safety,
like I said,
everything.
I'm all for calling Uncle Jerome.
I'm sorry.
Uncle Jerome.
Woo! I would have been on first 48. That's all I know.
Right. Adrian also brings up a point though, because remember how like before that scene, Asia was talking about how like Brandy's happily married, and for what she knows, their sex life is bomb. And then it was like when the revelation happened, it was like so like nothing is going right in Brandy's life at the moment, like nothing.
Right.
Because at first I was like, why is Brandy trying to go to the den? Didn't the book just say she's married? Like, and I love how her friends were both like, ma'am, do that with your husband. Do not condone this foolishness. And then afterward, it was like, you know what? You deserve the den and more. And I was like, real friends. We switch up when necessary, and we give you exactly what you need.
Right.
Just like,
oh my goodness. Yeah, that whole situation had me shook. So for that alone, I might continue on with the series because the other books are about the other two ladies. So in that sense,
Patience, and if she gets with Lauren, I actually do want to know that.
I can't remember her situation. Wasn't it just like they were friends?
Yeah, Patience was the one that was preparing for her 40th birthday, and she had quit her job to do her writing career, and she had met a fine ass photographer who took some beautiful shots of her, and then she told him that she wanted to take pictures, and they exchanged numbers, and they, you know, kikiing. Like both friends know that they're into the other person, but both of them want to act like they just friends.
Right. Okay, I remember now.
So I kind of want to know, like, is she gonna go to the? Because I know she also said she wanted to go to the den for her 40th birthday. So I was like, "Ooh, are you gonna go to the den, or are you gonna go to Lawrence?" Questions I kind of need to know. So now that you bring that up, I do kind of want to know, like, is Patience gonna get some patience? I
was like, I feel like the guys were so curious about the den is definitely going to be involved. Like
Can we
they're
also
both
talk
going to find their
about
way
how
to the
gossipy the
den.
men were? The as gossipy as the women in this book, and I loved that because I cannot like. It's so many times my homies be like, "Yo, what happened to so and so?" I'll be like, "Why are you so know her life?"
The men were
Like,
literally like, "Spill the tea." He was
right.
like,
They were like, "We don't want to hear about the other stuff. Is it true? Does it happen?" And I'm like, "Who told y'all? Is this where? Remember how y'all like girls be cackling? Remember how y'all say that? Like y'all sound like he lost a $10,000. Was it a 10 or he did a $10,000 bet to work there for a weekend? I was like,
yes.
y'all got big money to be $10,000. I want my friend group to be as successful as y'all, to where y'all can just throw $10,000 at each other because $10,000.
I know. I was like, when I saw that amount, I kind of blinked, like, oh.
I was like, oh, y'all are big, big money. All of y'all are big, big money. I love to see it. Love it.
I love to see it.
But I'm not there yet. So,
right? Like, oh my God.
$10,000. I was like, that's a bet.
That almost sounded like that Soldier Boy voice.
$10,000. Yeah, that was when I read the book. I was like, what?
Oh my God. I'm trying to think if there's anything that we haven't covered. I feel like we've pretty much covered it all. But I do have a question. If this scenario had happened to you and the person finally came clean at the end, I can't remember what exactly happened. Wasn't he exposed? Or did he come clean?
He invited her over to dinner. This is the part that blew my mind. He invited her over to dinner and surprised her this bouquet of flowers because he remembered that her grandmother had passed sometime during that season, and like these were the flowers. And I was like, oh, all right. I was like, no way. I was like,
that part had me shook.
Let's talk about the ending, because when she ran to the bathroom and canceled her appointment, I was like, you damn well should cancel your appointment. What?
That was so interesting to watch, that like pull and pull between like love and lust, and like how you have this one person that you have all this sexual chemistry with and you're able to let go. I mean, she didn't know they were the same person, but you know.
Right.
And then you have this other person that's like feeding to you mentally and emotionally. And it just goes to show how important that mental and emotional connection is. Because the way she canceled that appointment, baby, she was like, look.
How, like, this would be a great like BET Lifetime movie, because I'd have been screaming at TV, you better have canceled that appointment. This man remembers everything. He has forgotten nothing about you, sis. This man cares. What is wrong with you? I was like, boy, if she went to the bathroom, like when she went out to the bathroom, I was like, if she going to the bathroom to schedule another woman, I'm gonna throw this book.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, when she canceled that appointment, I was like, yes, finally, something's going right. And then, okay, so she canceled her appointment and then he told her, right? I think. Hey y'all, sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. We must have had a little bit of a glitch. So we are going to wait for Brittany to come back into the studio. And while we wait, we are going to continue. Just say something in the chat if you can see me and hear me. I just want to make sure. And then I'm just going to check in with Brittany real quick to make sure that she is still there. All right, let's see here. Sorry about that, y'all. Let me just make sure. Okay, you can see me. That's all I care about. Okay, we're going to wait for Brittany to come back in. But while we're waiting, I'm still trying to remember because I read this book last weekend, so there are certain details that are not coming back to me as crisply as they should. But the question I wanted to ask, let's see. There you are. Oh,
I'm back now.
You're back.
No, my internet was like, we're having too much. Bye.
Bye. Okay. Anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh, the question. Okay, so I'm trying to recall. So is that when he told her after she canceled her appointment and she came back out of the bathroom? Is that when he told her? And then she freaked out, right?
Yeah, because she was like, I have something I need to tell you. And then she was like, I'm not the good girl. Like, I've been seeing, I've been going to the den. He was like, you've been going to see me. And then like she started thinking about everything and she was like, wait.
Yes.
What? And then that's when she like stormed out and they didn't talk for like a week or something.
I thought it was like a couple days.
No, it was like, I think he said she meant to be on for a couple of days, but it ended up being like a week.
And then wasn't it her friends who were like, girl, you tripping. You better go get that man.
Yes. So.
Is it storming where you are, Britt?
No, it's bright and sunny. That's the part that's cracking me up right now. It's bright and sunny and my internet just decided, nope, don't want to do none of this.
Okay. Well, my question was,
right, she did get kissed. Sorry, I was reading a comment. It says, no, her first. Oh. That's right, because remember, he was not, he kept holding off from kissing her because he knew that if he kissed her, she would know exactly who he was. That's right, because apparently he was kissing her soul.
Apparently. Okay, so my question is, would you have had a similar reaction to her? Would you have also been like, oh my God, I'm going to storm out of here, like, and been upset? Because she was upset.
Well, because think about it like this, like the den had been like her private sanctuary, essentially.
Right.
So it had only been privy to the people that she wanted to know. So in a way, finding it out the way that she found out, I understand why she felt like it was invasive, because that was something very personal to her.
Yes.
So I get why she might have thought that was invasive. I think that I would have had a moment to myself too, because one, I fully understand that the way that I operate, I would have been super embarrassed at first too. I would have been embarrassed. I would have been offended. I would have had all the emotions, and I needed to step back and like consult my feelings, because I react very quickly if I don't. Yeah. So I understood why she had to leave, and I understood why she consulted her girls, because like all of her initial feelings weren't like, oh my God, this is amazing. All of her initial feelings were like, what?
Yeah.
You knew my secret? You knew?
Her mind was probably spinning. She was probably rethinking every encounter they've ever had, every conversation, everything. No, I agree.
He just bought her with flowers.
Yeah.
It's a lot of emotions happening at that time.
I don't think I would have been angry. I think I would have just been extremely confused, and I would have needed to take a moment to sort it all out and figure it out and being like, okay, so where do we go from here? Like, what does this mean? Does that mean that you're like a prostitute on the side? I thought you were a lawyer. Like, I would have so many questions.
I mean, she did ask. She was like, so you be working at the den? Like, what?
Yes. Hi, Erin.
Also, I need to point this out. Remember, with our readathons, there's no such thing as failing. You can never fail our readathons, because you read what you want when you want to. But I do have to agree with who picked this book. I would have been very upset, but because think about it, like, okay, so he didn't tell her that, but because remember the whole time in the book she was wondering, she would like be fantasizing about Eric when she was with Kane.
Yeah, so she would.
In essence, she got like her dream dude. So it was like, what exactly is wrong with Eric? Like, think about it. What exactly was wrong with him? He's thoughtful. He's sweet. He's honest. He's open. He's just he's attractive. He's sexy.
Right.
Career. He's got a very nice career. He's got his life together. And now you learn that he's also very capable of blowing your back out and giving you all types of imaginations.
Yeah. It would be like,
if I was Brandy, I too would have been like, oh, girl, no. Go get him.
It's like the Holy Grail. It's like yeah.
So I will pick you up from your house. If I was one of the friends, girl, if you don't get up, I will pick you up from your house and drop you off at his place.
I mean, her friends basically had that pep talk with her, like, girl.
Yeah. They were like, why is she here? I was like, real friends. Not hey, not how are you? Why are you here? Go get him.
Exactly.
Like,
but I felt like, because it wasn't like a full length novel length book, but I did feel very satisfied by how it ended. I felt like I got a complete story. Did you feel the same way? Were you left like wanting more? Did you feel like satisfied with how it ended?
I thought it was fine, because in actuality, the only thing that I was wondering in the book was how was it going to be revealed that Eric was Kane? Like that was my main question of the book. So once that had answered, I was like, okay, so when's she going back to him?
Right.
Because
that's true.
After she learned he was Kane, she should have been like, yes.
Yep. Best of both worlds.
Oh, and can we also mention how he decided he was just going to create their own den?
That was really sweet.
With the password protection.
Everything. I was like, oh my God, that is so sweet. Because he was probably like, let me recreate like where we met. And like now, like obviously she's probably not going to want to go back there. And just like so many things.
Would you need to go back there though? Like, I mean,
you would not need to go back there.
I was like, I so nice. Money
wouldn't
so
be a need.
Because he really just like, we're not going back to the den. We have our own.
Right. That was sweet, I thought.
It's like, oh, also, it's just one of those things where like, I just love how openly sexual they are. Like, granted, when they're in their Kane Carmen mode, they're like extremely sexual. I loved it. But the scene where she rolled up to his job and he like had to switch from being Eric to switch to be Kane real quick, set her up, send her off. It was like, work, I can't do this, but we're going to do this. And I was just like,
Right.
I'm so glad you went back and got him, girl. I'm so glad.
Right.
So glad
she
for you.
She would have regretted that. But let's be honest, he would have come after her after a while.
I mean, that man built her a sex dungeon. He was gonna come after her. The password was her name. We knew. I just didn't know. Were we gonna have like one of those romantic things, or were we gonna have something more realistic? And also, every time I read a romance book, I feel like I need to buy a trench coat. It's like, you know, like whenever they're having like their real like, oh, I'm sexy, I'm bold moment, they are always covering it in a trench coat.
There's always a trench coat involved.
And I'm like, maybe.
It's a very popular trope. Like even in all media, it's a very popular trope in media. Like even in the movies, right? You have like the girl that shows up in the trench coat that's like naked underneath or wearing lingerie. Like it's something we can all recognize because we've seen it so many times before.
Right, but because it's so recognizable, I need to go ahead and invest in one, a good one, a one that's floor length, even with my body. Listen,
look,
it's like clearly She done rolled up in a trench coat twice in this book. And she got some great reward for this trench coat outfit thing. I'm just saying,
Oh
I
my
know
God.
that it is, I know that it's a very serious trope, one that we all recognize, but it clearly be working because
It
people do
works.
this in life now because
It
they
works.
know from the TV shows, it gets the moment going.
Yeah. Also, now I feel like every time I see someone in a trench coat, I'm just gonna laugh. Just walking down the street and see one in a trench coat
If it's
and
not
just start
open,
laughing.
yeah. If it's not open, I'll create a whole storyline like, oh, she going to say sorry. Especially since I live in Houston, it's very little reasons to have on a trench coat.
Okay.
So if I see a trench coat, I'm like,
what in the world? What's going on here? Why?
it's like, oh. It's the only reason to own a trench coat, or so I've heard.
Oh my goodness.
I love it. I just need to get that off my chest. So yeah, I mean, I think we picked another good group read. I think Nekkid was super successful this year. Thank you to all of you guys for participating. The questions were quite hilarious.
Oh my goodness. They would always give me a chuckle when I'd be at work. I would always pick the worst moments at work to read those. And I would just literally be in my little corner just cackling to myself while everyone's pretending that I'm not being a weirdo.
Yeah, like I knew for a fact once I posted the question in the morning that I was not going to be able to look at the questions until I got home, because the first day that I posted where I was like, name all the different names for the man's member, and some of the response, I was like, I can't read this. I'm working. No.
Oh my goodness. Like, okay, you want to know something hilarious? So an answer that we didn't give is trouser snake. And I only thought about it because there is actually a snake called the trouser snake. I dare you to Google it right now. And apparently it just recently went viral because this snake was found in Florida. And it's supposed to be like an Amazonian snake. So why the fuck was it in Florida?
Because somebody illegally probably got it as a pet.
So if you're watching right now and you have access to Google, you need to Google trouser snake, because I was shook.
It says vulgar slang. Yes.
Look at images. Look at images. Ignore the graphic ones and just look for the snake.
Yeah, I was like, if the moment you click on it, it's not what you think. It's oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wait, that's the snake?
That is a snake. So you're welcome for the chuckle for today. I was shook.
This is the trouser snake. In case anyone needed to know, I had to see it. You get to see it. That's the trousers.
I had to find other photos because I was like, where are its eyes? What's happening right now?
I hate you. Because I too now have the questions. And now I gotta go search. I'm gonna go look on National Geographic. I'm less likely to see other things when I type in trouser snake on National Geographic.
I was so disturbed. I was like, whoa.
And the fact that somebody named it that.
That's the best part.
Like they were just chilling in the and then saw this.
Can you imagine?
Yes, there's also a picture of Idris Elba when you type in trouser snake, and
there is
as well. I was like,
that's why I said don't get distracted.
Like Idris Elba,
refocus.
Trouser snake.
Well, on that note, I do want to say I really enjoyed Nekkid being in August this year. I think it was great that it was 2 weeks. So we are going to ask for like a little poll at the end of, I don't know, like at some point this upcoming week, just what you enjoyed about Nekkid, what you think we can improve upon? Did you like it being 2 weeks? Do you think August is a good time? And, you know, of course, we're always looking for new ways to improve our readathons and also just make them more enjoyable for y'all, because it's about, you know, the community, and it's about all of us doing it together. So we'll probably try to think of some questions to ask in a poll, just to get some feedback from this year's Nekkid.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Oh Lord.
I love, yeah, I too should have searched incognito. I enjoyed it. Like I said, y'all know I'm not a big romance reader, but I participate because it's our readathon. So I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the shares. We appreciate the videos, the TBRs, again, for answering the questions. Post the results one. So I want to read those out loud because I think the question that I asked that I forgot to post was, what decade would your romance story be in if we're ignoring, like, you know, all the racism and all that stuff? If you're ignoring all of that, which decade would your romance be in? So let me try to pull up the thing.
That's a great question.
Yeah, it's a fantasy.
I said that mine would be in the 70s, or it would be like in the historical era, like historical romance, which I really enjoy reading.
We got the late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah, 80s, 2010s. The 1950s, we love jazz and a classic aspect of Black love in that era.
This is a good point. When men wore suits and
I was just about to say that. I was like, when men wore suits all the time?
All the time. They always looked sharp and fine. And they wore hats, and some of them even had canes. I have a thing for a man in a nice suit with a hat with a cane.
I love the answers right here. I like the Harlem Renaissance era, definitely.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Man, I love this answer. Maybe historical because I look great in a corset. All good reasons. The 1990s was a popular answer as well. I'm trying to think. Yeah, like yes, absolutely.
Someone needs to write that book.
I know, like all y'all who are writers, I need an HBCU focused book set in the 1990s. Think of like A Different World, but in the 1990s. Like, I'm not looking for a Dwayne Wayne or a Whitley, but like give me HBCU pride. Give me all of that. Give me having them like two very complicated majors, but meeting on the set. Set is for FAMU. I don't know what other schools call them, but like have them meet on the set, you know, like I need that written yesterday.
I agree. Somebody should write
that. Sounds like such a great book. And I would love to hear a clean description of Homecoming, because HBCU Homecoming. And I would
take Homecoming to a whole new level.
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh. That would be such a great book. I would read that book with no hesitation.
Could you imagine the like friendships that would be in that book? So good.
Or the fact that like if they stayed on campus, like if it was a girl or a guy, like one of them has to have a roommate that they can't stand, that they're ready to fight. One of them has to. It has to be a thing, and it has to be the other roommate that like stops them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've basically written the book for you, so you should just go ahead and
you don't even have to give us thanks. Just give us an arc. Thanks.
That's all we need.
Oh, and I have one petty comment before we leave. Remember, just because publishers like diversity doesn't change the fact that your book was shit, and that's why it didn't get published.
Why are you like this?
Anybody who's been on Bookstagram knows exactly what I'm talking about and who I'm talking about. So, you know, it felt like it's this white woman. Well, it's two different white women. It's one white Bookstagrammer who felt like she had sent a letter to publishers asking for an arc. And when they told her that they were focusing on first voices, she got all mad and was like, oh, is that not racist? Because like you're giving the books by BIPOC people to BIPOC people. And, you know, she got all offensive in her thing. And then it turns out she don't even read Black books. She just resells the arcs and makes money off of them. That's one. Second one, little author who's been problematic forever did a little like reel or something where she's like handing off her book to a publisher. And it's like, we don't care if it's good or not. We just want it diverse. I was like, first of all, you dust bucket bath they have in Heffa. We know for a fact that your book is probably just trash, like your other books. And that's why nobody wants your shit.
Read her.
It has nothing to do with us.
No, don't. And why are we being brought into this?
Because every single time they get mad about something, it's our fault. The same way that people hollering that Black people need to go see Shang-Li the way that we saw Black Panther. No. And I'm like, sweetie, the reason why Black Panther was successful is because Black people showed up and showed out. Like, I had whole outfits devoted to Black Panther.
Yes.
The Asian community should do the same and show the fuck out. That's the only way that this is going to be a successful thing.
I agree.
It's not our fault. We are not here to carry you. We are not here to shoulder you. You've been mediocre your whole life, and just now the fact that you got to act better, be better, it's still not our fault. Don't be mad that our parents taught us how to not be mediocre. Be mad at yours for teaching you that it's okay to be mediocre. Period.
Ooh.
But yeah.
I don't know what else to add to that. Mic drop.
Like, you know, I had to throw my petty in because I was like, dang, we're not going to have a podcast or anything that's free to just rant about random stuff.
That's true.
Yeah, they were wilding out on IDA last week. Yeah.
That is wild. I have been out of the book community like situation. I have been in my own little world, but of course there's always some mess going on. And of course we're always being dragged into it. And I'm just like, we just started to get representation. Leave us alone. Like, we just started to get our books being marketed.
Like, I want to be left alone. Like,
I beg.
I want to shout out my Black shit. I want to be Black. I want to be amazing. I want to hype up my Black people because that's what we do without being told that I need to do that for everybody. Ain't nobody else. There's a reason that it's called BIPOC and not just POC. We wasn't even included in the people of color. So don't come running to us now when you want shit changed. I'll be like, I don't understand.
I mean, when did we become the cheering section for everyone?
When we realize how much money we actually give when we cheer.
It's like, look.
I saw Black Panther 3 times in the theater.
Yeah, I mean, we came out and we supported our own. Like,
because we've been dying to see ourselves as superheroes.
With any community should come out and support their own. It's not the default. Our default setting is not to lift up everyone else. Like, that's not our default setting. I'm sorry.
Our default setting is we care about ours and we're going to do ours. Like, it's like, I don't want to include you. In fact, I support gatekeeping. I encourage gatekeeping in this particular sense. Like, no, I don't have to share with you my stuff. You are a visitor. You better sit down, shut up, and enjoy. I didn't ask you for opinions. I didn't ask you if you can relate or not, because last time I checked, nobody was asking me if I could relate to all of the stuff that's out that's not Black or POC or BIPOC or anything. You that's only true. Start wondering about relativity when you're no longer the focal point. Then all of a sudden, diversity is a problem. Oh my God.
This is a whole nother topic of conversation. Like, I mean, just this whole readathon, like even the fact that we have to have a Black romance category because we can't just have them be a part of the whole romance genre in general, right? Like when you think romance genre, it's always thought about like the white romances. You never think about anybody else. And the fact that we have to create this category for ourselves speaks for itself, you know?
Yeah, think about
It's a
that.
part of the whole conversation.
When they talk about romance novels, the top romance novels are white. Or the love interest is a person of color. But even then, it's a little weird because they act like that person being a person of color is their whole identity.
They do.
So it's like, I'm just happy that we have our own spaces and we're able to give a shout out because like our romance books are just as juicy, not a little bit more spicy than these other books. And those other books aren't bad. It's just that like we stay constantly having to dig a space for ourselves. And then once we dig a space for ourselves, it's like, well, y'all should be doing that for everyone. It's like, no, because no one was doing it for us.
Yeah, it's like we just got here. We just got a seat at the table.
Right.
Like, can we at least be served? Can we be served our meal? Can we enjoy the meal? Can
food is still cooking? Can we eat first?
We take the ambiance, okay?
Also, that's another thing. I hope whoever has joined us for Nekkid for the first time realizes that there's not only romance writers that are Black. I know publishers like to act like they can only have one Black person per category. I know that's how they act. I know how this world likes to somehow think that only one of us could do it at a time. And if there's two, we have to be battling. That's not real. There's a whole plethora of people for you to indulge in, and nobody got beef with nobody. It's just like
nobody. Yeah.
I enjoy reading about Black love. It's beautiful. It's just the media.
When it does come to Black romance, they do kind of act like there's not enough room for everyone, and that's not true. There are so many amazing Black romance writers and authors that don't really get the recognition that they deserve, and I think that happens a lot when they're independently published, because the ones who are published, who are mainstream published, like the Mia Sosas or the Talia Hibberts, their writing is a lot more open. Like, they don't write just like Black romance. Some of them write like interracial romance, so they'll write maybe regular romance, like with white characters. The fact that I have to say regular romance. But
we're gonna stop saying regular romance.
Right. Like, they write white romance or they write interracial romance. So they're the ones that are being pushed by, the HarperCollinses and so forth and so on. So
this was still good. Don't get me wrong, still good. It's just that it's a shame.
They're great. They're great writers. We're not trying to shame them at all. But there are so many other Black romance authors and Black people writing romance that aren't recognized enough, because a lot of them are independently published.
Yes.
And they just don't get the visibility that they're supposed to.
That's why that we posted this year, that list is like small. That's a very small list. That's just everything that I fit on one slide.
Yes.
So we're just gonna add on to the list every year, and if we end up with like list and list and list, that's fine. But that, like, I really enjoyed the fact that this year Black love was explored in so many different ways and so many different storylines and so many different types of love at that. I mean, we had poly suggestions, we had shapeshifter love, we had monster smut, Black monster smut.
So good.
Like, I think that this was so, I mean, granted, this is only our second year of Nekkid. Nekkid started last year. So I can't imagine what kind of book recommendations we're going to be doing next year, because I read a dragon shapeshifter book and the man was described as basically a chocolate god who turned into a dragon. I mean, I'll take him. Thanks.
Adrian, I'm glad you enjoyed.
I'm so happy. It was a lot of new participants this year. We are so happy for you guys. Do not forget that when you are reading your books and you're loving your books, don't forget to uplift those Black authors. If you love their stuff, don't forget to give them a shout out on social media. comment on their pages, engage with their content. Because like Oshale said, a lot of them are self-published. They have publishing companies to back them and push sales and marketing and all that stuff. A lot of them have that themselves. So don't forget that social media for you is enjoyable, but social media for them is a marketing tool. So them on social media too, because that was the purpose of Nekkid.
Also, leave a review of their books. If you are so inclined, you can leave a review on Amazon, or you can leave a review on Goodreads, or you can, wherever you like to leave reviews online. Even if you have a Bookstagram, you know, highlight them, highlight their work. It would really, you know, mean a lot to them, and it goes a long way to shining that spotlight on them and what they do.
Yes. And when people on Twitter ask for a Black romance recommendation, give them something that wasn't already published by the publishing companies. Not to say that published books are bad, saying that the majority of books where there is Black love, love between two or more Black people, those are not the ones that are pushed in these book lists at all. If they're at the very bottom, and it's one. So
yes,
just keep that in mind when you're doing your shout outs and all that stuff, because we have the power. We are the money. So we need to start demanding that our love be represented and our love be showcased the way that every other love is showcased, because our love is just as important. That's my soap opera for today.
All right.
Oh, and you can also use Amazon too. I forgot. A lot of these books we were buying that were on Kindle Unlimited. So like, don't forget to leave reviews.
Yes. So we are at our hour-and-a-half mark. Thank you so much again, y'all, for participating in Nekkid this year. It was so great. We are so looking forward to next year. And again, we will be seeking your advice and doing some polls, seeing how we can improve, what you liked about this year, what you feel like we could do better, what you think we can incorporate into next year. And we will be back next Sunday to talk about our book.
Hollywood Homicide.
Thank you. Hollywood Homicide by Kelly Garrett. Very exciting. For those of you who prefer audiobooks, there is an audiobook if you are so inclined to spend your coin. Available. It's about 5 hours, so not too bad. So yes, we'll be discussing that next Sunday.
It's Hollywood Homicide by Kelly Garrett. It's on Scribd as well if you want the audiobook. It's on Scribd. Also, just last reminder, last little thing. Self-time plug. So the information for the new reading planner has officially been uploaded on my channel today. It's like a 37-minute video, but it's got all the information that you need. The pre-orders start tomorrow at 10 a.m. CST. So if you want to get your hand on the bundle at the discounted price, then I suggest you be there early. Just figured I'd let y'all know because I'm proud. Oh, and the artwork, if you don't feel comfortable about buying and seeing the artwork reveal video is also up separately. So if you want to go see the spoilers, you can go see the spoilers as well. And now I'm going to go sleep. I would pop this wig off, but I forgot we were on live.
Oh my God, Brittany.
It was one of those where I'm like, and we're done.
Oh my God. That would have been hilarious. Okay, so we are going to sign off now. Again. Oh, okay.
This question. So one, think about your regular planners, your regular everyday planners. Think about a bullet journal and combine the two and make it specifically for books. So since you're new to BookTube, last year I came out with the Black Mermaid one because my focus is Black people in fantasy, and it's literally just a place. Let me go to one of my prettier spreads. Yeah, I'm that person. Hold on. It's just a place where we write down like the books that we read and take notes about the books that we read. Ooh, I took a lot of notes that month. And then I also provide a place where you write down like what you read in your books and stuff. So yeah, it's just another planner. The only difference between the planners you already have and the planner that you need is that I drew everything in it and it's all focused on Black people. And this year's theme is Black mages. So it's a bunch of Black people drawn in a planner.
Yes.
That's the only difference.
And we are very excited and very proud of Brittany. And we are going to support her. So please go pre-order on melanineclectic.com starting tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you are elsewhere, I believe that will be 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. And I can't do the math for the other standards. Sorry.
I'm going to post the other times on my shop Instagram because I don't do time differences very well. So, yeah. And there's also a countdown on my Instagram. If you want to just click that as a reminder, it'll like send a reminder. It'll do a notification when the countdown is over.
So we will see you all on Sunday to discuss Hollywood Homicide, our very first ever mystery book. And then we're going to reveal the book that we'll be reading next. And then we are going to do a little bit of a follow-up on our Reading Black challenge that we started in January. I know y'all may have forgotten about it. We are going to try to revive it for the last couple months of this year just to finish out strong. And we will try to focus on that as we end this year. Bye. Thanks for joining us, everybody.